got a sold-out crowd here in St. Joe today. Clouds covering the sun. It's a beautiful day today. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you.
The days get long out here at St. Joe. They can get hot. Coach Reed says it every day. He's like, you just got to show up and push through.
I got the left too. Cut. Cut.
Thanks for coming out today, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, go Chiefs.
We are at the exact midpoint of the time here in St. Joseph of the 28 days, starting when the rookies and quarterbacks, injured players reported, to the end of camp on the 20th of August. We're at the midway point, and we got a lot to talk about in this episode. Hi, everyone. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with Matt McMullen, who is the director of editorial content, and he is also the senior team reporter. It is like being the ensign in the Navy and a lieutenant in the Army all at the same time.
It's a lot of letters, but I'll take it. I get to watch football, so
You deserve
that's what it is.
Well, it's, hey, and a reminder, and you saw it on the graphic, but all of our reports here and our live streams are brought to you by the incredible people at Mosaic. They just get better every year, Matt, in what they do to help make this camp great for our players, our entire staff, and for us. But Mosaic is the proud presenting sponsor of Chiefs training camp. Joey, Chris, all the whole crew, they've been phenomenal. But we're going to give you a money-back guarantee right here. A money-back guarantee. At the end of this live show, if you're not excited about the two groups that we give you today, you can get your money back. Just check with Mosaic on it. Because the two groups that Matt and I are going to dive in today are the two groups that we're in agreement we're most excited about. The defensive front, the defensive line, and the running back room. And two of the most transformed rooms in the entire NFL.
And we've seen a lot of progress over the last couple days. So we just wrapped up a stint of 3 straight padded practices in a row. People might not realize this, but the guys don't practice in pads during the off season. So when they went out there in pads earlier this week for the very first time, that was the first time since last season ended. And it's difficult to evaluate certain positions like defensive line when the guys aren't in pads. Well, the last 3 days they've been in pads, and we've seen some really good things. They're not in pads today because Coach Reed is the best about kind of pushing the guys and then pulling off when we've gone hard for a couple of days there. So a bit of a lighter practice here today, but 3 days in a row in pads, and for both those groups, defensive line and running back, we saw some really good things, I think.
We talk about analytics, but Coach Reed actually has studied this scientifically. I talk about the Farclick method
Yeah.
of military training. I think Napoleon started or something back in the 18th century. But Coach really uses that kind of approach, and this is one of the days of throttling down. But before we dive into our first interview, so 2 days ago, it was goal line, and it got spirited. Yesterday, not going to let that happen yesterday. So we've seen good days, good plays back and forth, which is what you want in training camp. You don't want to see one side dominate the other.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. We always joke around about this, but we want to see the offense make plays. But if the offense is the only side making plays, that's not good for the 2026 season. It's true that really on both sides we've seen some really good things from the offense and the defense. And today is interesting because it's a 10-10-10 day. That's what Coach Reed calls them. It's all about what does success look like on each side of the ball. And we'll have like an offensive period, a defensive period, and a special teams period. And the offensive period, for example, is the starting offense. They go out there against the scout team and they run plays, and you see what the play is supposed to look like. What does success look like when you're out there running this concept? Same thing with the defense. So that's what we're seeing here today. The padded days are a little bit different. Let's just go out there and whoever wins, wins. And to your point, we've seen both sides win throughout this camp so far, which is a good thing.
There are 16 defensive linemen in this camp. We will talk about that a little more in detail. But what Matt and I have seen since early May, actually, and during rookie mini camp and then throughout OTAs and mandatory mini camp and this start of this camp, impactful 2026, not just draft players, but undrafted players. And we're going to start with one who, and I'm putting this in the category, we're getting more than we thought we were going to get. But our Mason Thomas, when you look at him, I've quoted this stat before, but when you look at all of the analytics of players, the 10-yard split, which is looking basically at a first-step quickness, how fast they are out of the get-go, his 10-yard split, our Mason Thomas, the rookie defensive end from Oklahoma, the same as Myles Garrett.
Wow.
When he was coming out in his start in the National Football League. That does get your attention, but our Mason has got our attention since he drove into town.
He's just so explosive. And it's interesting because we really haven't had this kind of player on our pass rush before. We're experimenting with this, and it's going well so far. He's only 241 pounds. Normally, a Steve Spagnuolo edge rusher is like 260, 265 or heavier, but that's not our Mason Thomas. That's okay, though, because he brings an explosive ability as a pass rusher. Big-time speed off the edge. He had a pass rush win rate over 35% last year at Oklahoma. That ranked 9th in the FBS. Tons of production for the Sooners. He racked up 22 tackles for loss, 15 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles in his last 23 games. And we don't want to compare rookies to established NFL players, but I'm about to anyway. We talk about this a lot. He reminds us a lot of Nick Bonito on the Broncos. And if you remember, when Nick Bonito came out from Oklahoma, he was kind of pigeonholed into being a designated pass rusher. Like, oh, that guy's not going to play all 3 downs. Well, he's turned into a Defensive Player of the Year candidate who obviously plays all 3 downs for Denver. If this thing plays out how we think it can, I think Bonito could have a similar career to what we hope our Mason Thomas can have here in Kansas City. And we've talked about it with him. He wants to play all 3 downs.
You know who embraces the Nick Bonito comp more than anybody? Our Mason Thomas.
Yep.
The reason he went to Oklahoma is Nick Bonito. We had a chance to catch up with our Mason Thomas earlier in camp. What you've already learned and what you want to learn by the end of camp in your game.
Yeah, what I've learned is that Coach Reed's his training camp it's not like college, so they definitely said it was one of the hardest training camps. So people already told me that, and then what I want to learn, I just want to get the playbook down, really. That's the main focus, is getting all the calls down so I can play fast.
Speaking of playing fast, how have you developed your one-step quickness? Because you're a flash off the edge.
I mean, coaches throughout, like high school, I used to play running back, so we used to, eliminate false steps and really push off one leg to really cut and everything. So Coach Bennett used to be a Chief out here, got drafted by he got drafted by the Chiefs back in the 90s. And then through college, Coach Shave, and then when I went to train for the 40, that's when I think it really helped, because the 40 is really just like a get-off, just exploding, bring your hips through, and then so once I practiced that over and over again, it translated to the field.
And what about playing the run? Because this is the NFL, right? What about being able to do both, and when you're out there to play the run or screen game or the quick game?
Yeah, you have to be prepared for everything, because I don't want to be just a third down guy. I want to play all downs. Somebody asked me that before. I was like, who just wants to go out on third down? I want to play football. So, yeah, run game is just as important as the pass, because you have to stop the run to get the third down or even get the second and long. So I'll be focused on that.
And finally, all these Bonito comps. We've been trying to block the cat for years.
Yeah.
Lauderdale, let's go. What about the comp when you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I know I looked up to him, so I like it. I know I've been hitting him up. I got his number now. So, I mean, I take a lot of his game. Like, that's one of the reasons why I went to OU. So, that makes sense if they're comparing me to him, because I watch, his film nonstop. Because, when you go to OU, you get access to practice, the archives from his freshman year. So I know what he wore. I know what type of helmet he changed to. I know what cleats he wore, all that type of stuff. I know if you look up a play, I'll know which year it is. So it makes sense.
It's always cool when the player that you're comp to is actually is your disciple, okay? And we're going to hear that later in the show with Emmett Johnson and Amir Abdullah, the same relationship in comp that he has with Nick Bonito, our Mason Thomas. But this is kind of the new age defensive end. You and I both talk about the ball coming out fast. You got to get there quick. And his first step quickness is outstanding.
And the thing is, like we talked about, and what you talked about with R. Mason, is you don't necessarily have to sacrifice playing the run, playing all 3 downs, just to have that speed rusher. We're seeing it in the NFL where a lot of these speed guys, they're playing all 3 downs. That's important. R. Mason thinks he can do that, and so far he's impressed me with what he's been able to do out here. If you're wondering about his name, if you didn't follow us during the draft and you're like, his name is R. Mason, so in his family, all the men have R names, but his mom liked the name Mason, so she split the difference, named him R. Mason. There you go.
Thanks, Mom, for that. The other perimeter guys so far in this camp, so Ashton Gelati, who's a big key to this team this year, has been slowed with a hamstring injury. But what that's done is given an opportunity, the former K-State Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, when he was at K-State, and a local kid in Felix Enudike-Uzama, who's had his best camp since he's been here, but he's getting the reps that Gelati would have had.
Yeah, Felix is healthy. And that's the thing. Felix has always had a lot of ability and potential and talent. When he first got here, we had a lot of guys ahead of him on the depth chart. In the last couple years, just hasn't been healthy. I mean, last year he was having a pretty good camp before he tore his hamstring and was out for the entire season. He's healthy now. He was here for the rookie portion of this camp because injured players can come to that. I think that was good for him. Kind of got the ball rolling a little bit. And Coach Reed talked about it yesterday. To your point, I think Felix is having his best camp right now as a Chief, and that's good news. You never want to see players get hurt. Gelati is a big part of this season, and I think Gelati playing as much as he did toward the end of last season was good for him. I think he has a chance to have a really solid year, but we need a lot of guys at that position, and Felix is one of those players. I mean, he's a first-round draft pick. You know he has a lot of potential and talent. He's got to go out there and do it, and so far, so good for him.
And a first-round draft pick because he was an explosive player at K-State. Again, the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. But another reason to be excited about the defensive group is what's happening inside. That could lead to some outside help, because Chris Jones, who has seen every double team known to man, some triple teams, and I've talked with Chris since really training camp started about it. About this is the fact that now he has reinforcements. He's really excited about the pickups the Chiefs got. A pro veteran in Kairos Tonga, who was really good for New England in their run to the Super Bowl last year, and also the first-round draft pick at the end of the first round in Peter Woods, who has been, he basically has been maybe the lead story of this camp.
Yeah.
Because, again, here's a dangerous comp, and he's not discipled by Aaron Donald, but the body type, his first-step quickness in the A-gap and B-gap, you see a little of, maybe a lot of Aaron Donald in his game.
Kind of reminds me of Jalen Carter, too. We're going, this is tough comp right now because these are really great players that we're comparing rookies to. But just, we're just reporting on what we're seeing so far in camp. And, yeah, Peter Woods has been great. I'll get to him in a minute. You mentioned Kairos Tonga, though. Kind of a sneaky pickup in the offseason. And really, overall, the interior of our defensive line, I think, is much improved. We know Chris Jones is going to the Hall of Fame one day, but we had to get him some help. And we've done that, I think, throughout this offseason. Tonga's a big man, 6'2", 335 pounds, 14 games for New England last season. He logged career bests in snaps, defensive stops, and pressures. Based on the advanced metrics, he was the Patriots' top run defender among interior defensive linemen last year. That's saying something. That was a very good run defense last year for them. Would have obviously led us as well in that category. So Kairos Tonga is exciting. Another guy we haven't talked about yet is Marcus Harris. Now, Harris has a shot to make this team, I think. We'll see how camp progresses here. But if you're a Jayhawk and recognize that name, he played for KU from 2020 through 2021. He's been flashing out here. And one play that caught my eye, it's kind of a little thing, but I think it matters. A couple days ago, he knocked down a pass at the line of scrimmage, just batted it at the line. Why is that important? Well, we were near the bottom of the NFL in batted passes last year at the line of scrimmage. We had only 8. Well, if you look at the championship runs in 2022, 2023, we led the NFL in that category both seasons. Got to get back to that.
And the best play of goal line 2 days ago came from Marcus Harris. He tips a pass that led to an interception in the back of the end zone. So, again, he's the Felix Enudike-Uzama is getting the reps because of the injury to Ashton Gelati. Because of Omar Norman Lott's injury, currently on PUP, that gives Marcus Harris a chance, but he's making the most of that chance. Back to Tonga, and we're going to jump into Peter here in a second. We had a chance to talk to him as well. There's more than just a two-gap plugger to Kairos Tonga. I go back to the video of him in the AFC Championship game against Denver. There are a couple of snaps. He obliterates that offensive line, and that's a good offensive line.
Yeah.
But he obliterates them. And it's a push, or he's got the ability to have enough one-gap penetration to be a factor. And so Kairos Tonga is more than just a big dude in there to clog things up. And you know me, I've had a huge thesis point about tip passes all this offseason. And you did the research. Joe Cullen, defensive line coach, is going, hey, I got some numbers for you. Well, Matt gave him the numbers. 2 years ago, or 2022, we led the league in tip passes defense. 23, we did the same. Well, how did those years end up?
Pretty good, yep.
The most devastating play, I know I talk about it too much, but it really is because fans don't think about it. The most devastating play to an offense, you're thinking, is a sack. Okay, not far behind or equal is a tip pass, because if you pause the tape, there's somebody open at 20 yards. It's like opportunity cost in business. You'll see offensive coordinators like just bang their head. It was there, the perfect play call. The ball never gets there. And that's where Chris Jones could line up on the outside some. If you've got Tonga and Peter Woods, even Marcus Harris, and now all of a sudden Chris can drift outside. We can show you tape of the 2022 AFC Championship game against Cincinnati.
Well, or Super Bowl 58 when Trent McDuffie on the slot blitz knocks down the pass at the line of scrimmage. Juwan Jennings was open on that play, and the Super Bowl would have been over. We would have lost.
No
but
ring.
A batted pass at the line of scrimmage ended up leading to one of the greatest overtimes in NFL Super Bowl history. So we can belabor this point, but that's really important. And Marcus Harris doing it in practice got me excited because we know it's an emphasis area. Let's see some more of that throughout this camp.
Peter Woods, though, has been the story. 2 years ago at Clemson, he just was he wrecked. He was a wrecker. 20 pressures that year. When you look at what he did, 15 career tackles for losses. Not a super high sack total, but disruptive player. And we had a chance to catch up with him.
Yeah, we did. Peter Woods, a player that we're both really excited about, been great throughout this camp. Let's rewind the clock back about a year. Peter Woods is being discussed as potentially a top 5 overall pick. Now, a weird season for Clemson in 2025. They kind of asked him to be more of a nose tackle last year, and to his credit, he did that for the team, but didn't lead to a lot of production. This is where the draft is maybe overanalyzed a little bit, where this is obviously a very explosive, talented player who had a lot of production before last year, and he doesn't have a great 2025. Oh, he falls to number 29 overall. The Chiefs say, thank you. That sounds great. We'll take a player like this. And yeah, I mean, he's been excellent. Think about this. He recorded a 1.67 10-yard split at his pro day. At 300 pounds, shows off a very explosive player. And like Mitch said, during the rookie portion of this camp, I had a chance to catch up with them. Take a listen. All right, down here with Peter Woods. Peter, it was day one of being a professional and being in a training camp. How'd it go?
It was just a blessing. I'm just taking it day by day. Super excited to get out here with the guys that I was out here in the spring with, and just see what we got. Out here just soaking everything up, learning the playbook. Trying to be a sponge.
Think about rookie mini camp a couple months ago. How much further along are you, do you think, in this program compared to that time?
I think I still got a lot to learn. Just from the aspects of being a professional when it comes to like football and the playbook. Just being behind in that regard. But having things like this, rookie training camps and rookie mini camps, just get us ahead the 8 ball with preparation and learning how to prep in the league has been really important for me. And so, like I said, I'm just soaking it all up, taking a day at a time.
Yeah, how much of a benefit is it to have these 3 days where it's just rookies and quarterbacks before the vets get here later this week?
Big time. I know that the vets, they have a standard for us, guys that they expect to come here and play and contribute. And so just being able to, have an opportunity to meet that standard when they get here, it's a blessing. Nobody do it like the Chiefs, so I'm very, very blessed to be here.
Are there a few guys in the D-line room you've kind of leaned on over the summer to get ready for all this?
A lot of the guys. I mean, I feel like we lean on each other. Big thing in the spring was, just everybody pushing everybody and making sure that we get through the finish line. Whatever drill we're doing in the meeting room, we're making sure we're just getting through the finish line. So, just leaning on each other, pushing each other from behind, and leaders being out front.
I know it's hot out here, but you ready for some padded practices? It's been a while since you've been in pads.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to hit somebody, for sure.
About number 99. Haven't had a guy like this in a while, a long while, maybe even while coach has been here. And that's not throwing rocks at anybody that's played that inside position. But if he allows Chris to go outside and for Spags to mix and match here, we didn't mention George Karlaftis, but George has had a good camp too. But he also is sensing there's help. when you throw these new guys in there and a guy like Felix maybe emerging a bit.
Sure, and let's think about even when Chris is inside, if Peter Woods is right next to him on third down or something like that, you can't triple team Chris Jones. You can't. If Peter Woods is going to be what we think he can be, you have to play them straight up, and someone's going to win on that. Like I mentioned, that was during the rookie portion of this camp, so it wasn't padded yet. The very last question was asking him if he was excited about these padded practices, and his answer was he's ready to hit somebody. We've seen him hitting people out here. It's been awesome to watch.
For sure. And we don't leave George out of this discussion because George yesterday had his best day of camp. I mentioned that the offense got the better of the goal line situation and the work that was done Tuesday. George was not going to allow that to happen yesterday. And he's made a lot of big plays so far in his career, especially in the playoffs when you look at what he's done. And he's another guy that can be involved in the tip passes or the tackles for a loss or stripping the football. This defense is just better equipped, I think, of being a aggressive, get takeaways, because last year there were 14. You just cannot live that way in this league.
Yeah, I think George will also benefit from having that improved interior where he's not being double teamed as much. If R. Mason Thomas can grow into what we think he can be, that'll help George as well. And Ashton Gelati, too. We need to get him back out here. But I just think our defensive line in general is much improved. That was a mandate coming into this offseason, and I think so far we've done that.
So think about this. Defensive end, when you look at get Ashton Gelati back, Felix Anudike-Uzomah is playing his best ball. Here's George Karlaftis and R. Mason Thomas. That's a good 4.
Yeah.
Then you go inside. Oh, Chris Jones. Oh, Kairos Tonga. Oh, Peter Woods. And Marcus Harris.
And Omar Norman-Lott when he's healthy.
When he's healthy. That's 9 dudes. So there's a lot to like. We're fired up about it. But we're more fired up about the running back room. The most transformed room, we've said this, we said it on DTK on an earlier episode, but the most transformed room in this league. Now, we had guys that gave it all they had last year, and Pacheco, and Kareem Hunt was the best guy in short yardage in the entire league. But there are explosive plays now back in this offense from the running back position. And here's what people don't realize. They can come from the running backs in the passing game. Ken Walker is so excited. K9 is so fired up because he didn't have this offense at Michigan State. He didn't have this offense at Seattle. People think we're going to line up in the wishbone and just dive the ball with him every time. He's excited because this offense, he was a wide receiver in high school. And we saw him run a second-level route on this practice today already. His ability to get explosive plays as a receiver, not just checkdowns or screens, can have a gigantic impact on this season.
We could do an entire live stream on Ken Walker and our excitement for him. Every single day when the players are walking down the hill, Mitch says, hey, did I remind you that I'm excited Ken Walker's on our team? Yeah, Ken Walker is on our team, everybody, and it's making a difference already. I'm going to go over some numbers here because they're really impressive. He's a broken tackle machine. 61 forced missed tackles last year, 5th among all running backs. 644 yards after contact last season. And he's also consistently done that. So over the past 3 seasons, he's ranked either 1st or 2nd in missed tackles forced per carry. 33 runs of double-digit yardage last year, 6th most in the NFL, and his explosive run rate of just under 15% was 3rd among all running backs. And here's some context. He ripped off 10 runs of 20 or more yards last season. That ranked 3rd in the NFL. The Chiefs, as a team, had just 3 such runs all of last season. Only one of them was from a running back. He's going to change everything for our offense just by being Ken Walker. And it's been fun to watch because Coach Reed's using him in so many different ways than maybe we even anticipated. The screen game for me is exciting as well because we saw one yesterday. The guy's going to be a menace on screens.
And the line knows it. They got out there, whether it's Trey Smith or Kingsley Somatia or Creed Humphrey. They're out there in a hurry. They know they don't have to make a great block because K9 is going to make something. Just give me a little something on the perimeter, and K9's got it. Keep in mind, he had a 64-yard reception earlier in his career against Seattle in an offense that was not like this one. If you wanted to think about a comparison, it would be Kareem Hunt in the 2017 season, his rookie year.
When he led the NFL in rushing?
Well, and just remember the New England game when it was the complete shock. We blew New England off the planet. The game, that's their celebration game coming off the Super Bowl championship. And it was Kareem Hunt in the passing game, not just the running game. So K9 can give you that, but there's others because we're seeing one of the other stories. It's more of an underlying story here is the fact that you've got a Brashard Smith who had 1 year as a running back at SMU, drafted as a running back, but prior to that in his career at Miami of Florida, he was a wide receiver. I'm seeing more instinctive running back-ish kind of plays from Brashard Smith, but we know he has the potential. His biggest play last year was 17 yards. Now, you know something bigger is coming and can do that in the receiving game.
I love the term that you've created, crock pot guys. It's players that they come here and maybe they don't make a huge impact right away, but you throw them in the crock pot, give them some time, and they turn into players for you. Well, Brashard Smith might be going through that, I think, right now, where he's really emerging. Think about last season. We knew he had the talent, and we saw him out there. Sometimes he flashed, but it wasn't necessarily consistent. Well, week 18 last year, we had so many injuries and we were out of it, so he had a chance to go out there and be our starting running back. I think he had like 16 total touches against the Raiders and played well, both as a runner and as a pass catcher. Well, I think we're seeing that production and that confidence he built in that game carry over throughout the offseason training program and into this camp, where he just looks way more comfortable to me than he did this time last year. Not to say he wasn't comfortable. I mean, he played really well at running back for SMU his final year in college, but he just looks like he knows what he's doing at this point, and he can just go out there and play fast. That's always the challenge for these players. We know they're good. Everyone in the NFL is good and is talented. Who knows the playbook and who knows they have confidence in their ability where they can go out there and play fast? And so far, I think we're seeing that from Brashard.
What you don't know is Matt and I in the offseason we didn't have it, we can still have it, is a special luncheon called the Third Down Back Luncheon. We have it at an undisclosed location, so you can't find us, and it's just the two of us. But we talk about the third down back. I got so fired up. Remember a couple years ago, and we got Samaje Perine, and we don't make the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 59 without him. But Amari DiMercato gives you that kind of ability. Amari DiMercato, the famous 71-yard touchdown, should have been a touchdown against Tennessee when he thought he crossed the goal line and lost the ball. Then he became the dunce of the NFL, and reels played all over cyberspace. But there's way more to him. He had the longest play against Seattle last year in a 55-yard run. He's had 5 40-plus runs in his career. The last time the Chiefs had a 40-yard run was in September of 2023. So DiMercato, if he was in the team last year, might have been like the lead rusher guy. But the fact that now you put him in with Brashard Smith and K9, and now all of a sudden you got all kinds of protons and neutrons in this mixture.
Was that Pacheco against the Jets, the last 40-yard run? Yeah, DiMercato is interesting. Averaged 6.5 yards per carry.
It was right before the Magna Carta, by the way.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
DiMercato averaged 6.5 yards per carry across 126 career attempts with the Cardinals during his 3 years there. 20 runs of double-digit yardage in that time. Do the math. That's 16% of his career carries. Went for 20 or more yards. He's explosive. And what's kind of fascinating about him is he's kind of like a girthy guy. He's thick and strong and big, and I think he could handle a bigger workload than he had in Arizona. So the whole mandate this offseason was getting more explosive at running back. We're just being honest, we were not explosive at all at running back last season, and that hurt the entire offense, where our play-action passing game wasn't as effective. Defenses just didn't respect our running game, just the reality. So we have to get more explosive. I think we did that and then some, adding Ken Walker, obviously, Emmett Johnson in the draft, who we'll talk about. Brashard Smith looks more comfortable. We know he's a playmaker and has that potential. And then DiMercato as well. This has the potential to be a really, really good running back room, to the extent where I don't think it's just improved. I think it has a chance to be like a top 10, top 5 kind of running back room in the NFL. That's super exciting.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to overdo this, but that running back room, you got to go back maybe to the early 2000s, Priest Holmish and that guys that helped him out, or even back in the 90s. I'm just telling you, it's really good. What I did not mention about Kenneth Walker is how he's so assimilated so quickly, not just on the football side, but the culture side. You come in as the reigning Super Bowl MVP, and you're thinking, I got this all figured out. You guys all just, listen to me. He has acted like it's his rookie year. But Emmett Johnson is the same way. Now, the folks that are watching us that are Nebraska fans, and I do radio every day in Omaha and Lincoln, they're so excited about Emmett Johnson. When you look at his all-purpose yards the last 2 years, he really was a factor, Big Ten running back of the year. The fact that his all-purpose yards were the best since Amir Abdullah, and that would have been 13 seasons ago. Abdullah's played in this league this will be his 13th year. Here's the comp. We talked about the comp with going back with R. Mason Thomas with Nick Bonito. The comp here is Emmett Johnson to former Nebraska running back Amir Abdullah. Abdullah is his pseudo big brother.
Wow.
They are in contact all the time, and Emmett feels like he's prepared to play more in this league because of his relationship with Amir Abdullah, who is, when you look at the measurables, they're almost identical. But Emmett is a highly productive player. Not, again, just as a runner, but he has the ability to be a receiver.
Let's go over some numbers here. Led the Big Ten in rushing yards with nearly 1,500 last year. Think about the caliber of player in the Big Ten. He was some of the best players in college football. He had the most rushing yards of any of them. But to your point, also caught 46 passes last season for 370 yards. Those 46 grabs were the second most among all FBS running backs. Sounds a lot like an Andy Reid kind of running back. And just like with Peter Woods, I think this is where the draft is maybe a little bit overanalyzed, because think about all those numbers I threw out there. And you turn on the tape, Emmett Johnson obviously can play football at a high level. Didn't have the fastest 40 time. I don't care about that. I care, can he play football? Can he catch the football and make a guy miss? Can he hit the hole? Can he make plays? Emmett Johnson can do all of those things. I think we're going to look back and think about getting him in the 4th round and say, man, I can't believe he lasted that long.
Well, there's another Emmett in this camp in the RB room. It's E.J. Smith, actually, I should say, son of Emmitt Smith, the Hall of Fame running back for the Dallas Cowboys, and then Jaden Ott, who ended his career at Oklahoma after being highly productive at Cal. But Emmett Johnson has turned some heads here because he looks like he's ready-made NFL, ahead of the curve of your normal college running back, who's the stud, coming into this league. And it's because Emmett has had some help in getting him ready for this. How quickly are you assimilating? How quickly is there a sense of urgency to get assimilated right away?
I'll say very quick, man. I feel like it started, with rookie minicamp, OTAs. I feel like I got a good head start on the playbook and things of that nature early, and then now it's just putting everything together, going out there and playing fast and showing that they can trust me and just going out there and being myself.
To be in this offense with Pat, but this offense specifically, how do you feel like it fits you?
I think it fits me extremely well. Just being able to receive the ball too, not just only run. It's just crazy that I'm here, and I'm really blessed. Like I said, I got to make the most out of my opportunity. I can't take anything for granted. I'm going out there trying to make the roster, just like everybody else. So, just starting from ground zero and then just proving to myself what I already know.
We saw all the production as a runner, but you were very productive as a receiver. What about being a receiver in this offense?
I love it because it's going to be times where we need to be effective, as running backs in the receiving game. And that's big plays in the football game. I feel like just watching throughout the years, I've studied the NFL, and I know that the running backs that can receive are really dual threat weapons. And so that's something I take big pride in, just being able to run any route. If I had to go out there and play receiver, I will. So anything it takes for the team to win.
The big one, pass protection. What about pass protection once we get pads on and roll with it?
I love it, man. I feel like that's more important to me than running the football or catching the football. Like, I take big pride in that, and I know I got to protect 1-5 and also just give him time in the pocket to throw. It shouldn't be just, he can receive, he can run the ball. I got to be able to protect, and so I'm taking big pride in that, and Coach has been doing a good job helping me with that as well.
Fans might ask, can 4 running backs make the 53-man roster? Heck yeah. Darn right they can, especially if you get some special teams action out of it. And I want to mention Brashard Smith. We just seen they're working on kick return here. If he can establish himself as a consistent and explosive punter kick returner, this team needs it. We haven't had a kick or punt return for a touchdown since 2020. That becomes a key item when we talk about the running backs.
And that's where that wide receiver experience could benefit him too, I think. Having the blend of being a receiver and a running back is kind of exactly what you want with a punt or kick returner. So I'm with you on that. It's something that we thought he could do a lot more of last year. He kind of did some of it, but if he can develop into being a primary kick and punt returner, I think just adds a new dynamic to our return game because of his speed and elusiveness. So I'm with you. He's doing it right now, so we'll see if he keeps it up.
Take one to the house. It would make us all feel better. So again, we wanted to make you get excited as we are, because we've seen this evolve really since the beginning of May with the younger guys, and then morphing and going together. What I like too is about the fact that you've got in these two areas, in both defensive line and running back, it's not all just young guys. So think of the defensive line. You got the senior in Chris Jones. You got kind of the junior in Karlaftis. You got the sophomores in like a Felix Enudike-Uzama or an Ashton Gelati when he gets back and healthy. And then you've got Peter Woods and R. Mason Thomas. You've got seniors to freshmen, and all can play. Same thing in the running back room. You've got the Super Bowl MVP, but he's in there with two kind of middle road veterans, or at least in case of Burchard, his second year, and then a rookie in Emmett Johnson. I just love that. That usually leads to success in the NFL.
And I love the coaching element too. DeMarco Murray coaching the running backs has been really impressive so far, I think. Obviously brings a pedigree. This is a guy that was a Heisman Trophy kind of contender in college and led the NFL in rushing at one point. Just a lot of success during his career. When he speaks, you listen. If you're a running back, like, I want to have a career like this guy's. He knows what he's doing. And that was just evident to me really throughout OTAs and definitely throughout this camp, where he has had an impact on these guys where they're better day to day, and that's because of coaching. That's a big deal. We haven't talked about the wide receivers yet. We'll do that on a later live stream, but same thing with Chad O'Shea. He's really impressed me as well.
Yeah, you can join us on the weekend. We're going to bring you another live stream from here at camp. Again, this is a bit of a throttle back day after Matt told you 3 straight days in pads. They got after it, goal line, red zone. It was spirited. And this is the 10-10-10 day, which is just back up a bit. But then you kind of get back into it. You jump 2 more days with a Friday and a Saturday before a day off. And then you can see the Rams preseason game on the horizon. But still, Friday and Saturday to me become important days, especially at linebacker and wide receiver a bit, where there's some guys down. And we're really looking at a short group of guys at linebacker. There's only 8. Now we're down to 6. And even Wesley Bissain has battled some injuries. So we'll see what happens Friday and Saturday, and we'll get you updated.
Yeah, hopefully get some guys back healthy. If you're also wondering why we're not showing more of practice, it's because we can't, because these 10-10-10 days are basically all 11 on 11. We can't show any 11 on 11 because those are actual plays, and it's possible that other teams are watching this and writing it down. So that's why we can't show a lot of the 11 on 11. But hopefully on Saturday, I believe that's not a 10-10-10 day, we can show some 7 on 7.
Yeah, we can. And if you're going to come to practice and want to shoot video of team, we'll find you. There's a dungeon actually in Fawcett, Missouri. People don't even know about this. It's near Midbuck High School. That you go to the dungeon, and there'll be moldy bread and water waiting for you.
We got to work together here.
Do not shoot video of team play, okay? It is verboten, and yet we see examples of it every day. It's like, no, people, don't.
Yeah. Want to protect our plays out there. It's important.
All right. The folks at Mosaic they're just amazing, Matt.
Yeah.
They're incredible here.
Well, the infrastructure is amazing here. I mean, think about, we move our entire operation an hour to the north, and it's seamless. They take care of us like nobody else. We appreciate them so much.
Mosaic's huge for the whole region. I talk about this every year, but the 4-state area, because we're here in the northwest corner of Missouri, but northeast Kansas, you look at southeast Nebraska, and then southwest Iowa. All that is affected by Mosaic, who they're proud presenting sponsor of Kansas City Chiefs training camp here in St. Joseph, Missouri. He's Matt McMullen. I'm Mitch Holthus. Again, money back guarantee if you're not excited or you're just kind of passed out, because the defensive line in the running backs room ought to get you really fired up for the Chiefs 2026 season.